Customers served.
Does Ditka blow his top? Find out Tuesday morning at 6.
In Mogadishu, the road warrior is king. A man's status is determined by his weapon. A rifle beats a pistol. An assault weapon beats a rifle. A machine gun beats an assault rifle, and a heavy machine gun beats just about anything it faces. At least until now.
This is an ABC News Nightline Special Edition. Nightline in Somalia. Reporting from Mogadishu, Ted Koppel.
It is morning here in Mogadishu, just after dawn. It is easy at this time of day to believe that this is a quiet, untroubled place. But as you look out there toward the Indian Ocean, which you can see just beyond the tree line there, out there is an invasion force which we expect will be coming ashore here in Somalia just about 24 hours from now. The expectation is that it will be moving in on two particular points here in Mogadishu, the airport and the port itself. At about this time tomorrow morning, Marines should be arriving on landing craft and aboard helicopters. The President's special emissary, Ambassador Robert Oakley, arrived in Mogadishu a few hours ago. While he wears a suit and carries no weapon, you might consider him the first wave of what will soon be a 40,000-man army representing more than a dozen nations. Sometime during the next few hours, Oakley will be meeting with the men who control the armed militia and gangs of Somalia that now occupy Mogadishu. He will tell those men that when the first contingents of U.S. and other troops land at the local air and seaport, it would be advisable that no armed Somali be present. If there are men carrying weapons on the docks or at the airport, they will likely be shot. Since the entire city, but especially the airport and docks, are currently teeming with armed Somalis, Oakley's first mission represents an important test. As things now stand in this city, nothing gets done here without the protection of hired guns. Nothing. Even Ambassador Oakley, as he moves around town, is being guarded in part by armed Somalis, hired for the job by the U.S. government.
This is a country, you must understand, without a national government. There are no laws, no police. There is no infrastructure, no banks, no electricity, no telephone service. The wires that used to link these telephone poles have been stolen and sold for scrap. There is only one recognizable authority, the gun. And the degree of a man's authority depends on the level of firepower that he controls. At the moment, there are two and only two flourishing industries in Somalia: protection and the drug trade. No one operating here in Mogadishu can avoid coming into contact with one or the other for long.
For example, this broadcast is coming to you tonight from an armed compound. The ABC News correspondents, camera crews, producers, and engineers are staying in what is actually a rented villa, surrounded by high walls, topped by broken glass and barbed wire. Down in the courtyard are more than a dozen vehicles and 20 or 30 armed men. A little later in the day, there will be more vehicles and more men.
Whenever we leave the compound to gather news, we leave in armed convoys, racing through the streets of Mogadishu, preceded and followed by our own small hired army of technicals. That's what they insist on being called, technicals. Every foreign news organization operating here is protected by technicals. So, for that matter, is every relief agency. If you have ever wondered, for example, where some of your contributions to CARE in Somalia may be going, here is a frustrated CARE spokesman, Rick Grant.
Every 4 days, it costs CARE more than $19,000 in cash, please. Thank you very much. $19,000 every 4 days. In addition, they also get a share of the food that comes in by ship.
The only foreign operation in town that is able to protect itself is the Pakistani contingent of UN peacekeeping troops. But they lack the numbers and firepower to protect anybody else. And assault-style colonel in the technicals suggests that even the Pakistanis remain unmolested at his suffering.
Those poor boys from Pakistan, if we wanted to, we could just eliminate them.
Indeed, other UN agencies here have actually had to hire technicals themselves because the UN peacekeeping troops are unable to do the job. The Somali technicals have a lot of firepower because first the Soviets and then the United States poured weapons into this country, and the weapons were stolen during the Civil War. But what makes the gunmen particularly dangerous is that they are so young and undisciplined.
Most of them are 16, 17 years of age. They're carrying M16s, AK-47s. This is the best thing that's ever happened to them. They're making big money. They're driving around in a souped-up war vehicle.
And from mid-afternoon on, most of them are stoned. Every morning, plane loads of a leafy drug called khat are flown into Mogadishu from neighboring Kenya and Ethiopia. The supply hits the market about noon. And all afternoon long, you can see the young gunmen peeling and chewing the khat until a green foam starts to form in the corner of their mouths, and their eyes become bloodshot and glazed. The drug first induces a feeling of euphoria and energy, and then gives way to paranoia and aggression. Mixed with guns, a seemingly inexhaustible supply of ammunition, and an existing climate of anarchy, it is a deadly combination.
That is a deadly combination with which we in the United States are, of course, only too familiar. Drugs, guns, and young men. But the deadly combination here in Somalia has had another outgrowth, which, of course, is the reason why there are thousands of troops just waiting to come ashore here within the next few hours. And that is the impact that all of this violence has had on the rest of the country and on the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are near starvation. When we come back, we'll look at how the technicals have paralyzed the relief effort and help bring about the current crisis.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Sears.
This is really amazing stuff. This is a composite material.
One of many Northrop's designed and worked with for 20 years on the FA-18 and the B-2.
It started out as a thin sheet of fabric. Now it's stronger than steel. The composite material won't corrode. It won't fatigue. In the defense business, you don't design it to be here today and be gone in 5 years.
Funny thing is, the more you know about designing with composites, the more people ask you to do with them.
Northrop's making advanced technology work.
There's a reason more people go to Sears for a new battery.
Can't believe I left my lights on.
Only Sears has the Die Hard. Sears is so confident of Die Hard starting power. If your Die Hard needs a jump, Sears will do it absolutely free. Anytime, anywhere, even if you leave your lights on.
I got stranded once. Never again.
You can count on me.
Sears Die Hard. More power when you need it most.
Since the Honda Accord is America's best-selling car, why would you want to lease one? Well, for one thing, you won't have to drop a lot of cash. Introducing the Accord Lease Program. See your nearest dealer for details.
You see, I figured it was another tie. But when I open the box, I see this thing that looks like a baby typewriter. So I ask, what is it? She says it's a Brother P-Touch. She says it's a new electronic labeling system that makes adhesive labels in 5 sizes, 4 styles, and lots of colors. First I labeled file folders, computer disks, my videotapes. I can't. You gotta help me with this problem. What problem?
Stay with ABC News as U.S. troops prepare to move into Somalia. Ted Koppel is there with the latest on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings tomorrow.
It's a little misleading to suggest that all the young technicals who terrorize the city of Mogadishu are freelancers. They are not. In fact, the most dangerous technicals are the organized ones, the ones who work for the warlord.
It is early morning, and the men who will protect Mogadishu's port and its warehouses are gathering for an informal sort of roll call. If ever there was a dramatic example of the foxes guarding the hen house, this is it. They call themselves the National Police, and they are equally generous with the titles they've bestowed on themselves.
I am a colonel myself. This is a colonel too. We have 4 captains. We are a military organized, disciplined force. We are not the ragtag army of downtown.
As we heard earlier in the program, this organized, disciplined force extorts $19,000 every 4 days in protection money from the relief agency CARE. The lion's share of the money goes to a local warlord. But this jeep full of gunmen, for example, gets roughly $140 a day, the equivalent of what most Somalis earn in a year, for guarding the front gate to the harbor.
For that $140 a day, what does aid get? What kind of weapons do they get?
The kinds of weapons we have are this mounted gun, and our job, our specific mission is to make sure that no robbery takes place here.
The thing is about these technicals, this port hasn't worked for almost a month. Well, these people get paid whether the port works or not, whether the food rolls or not, whether the food gets looted or not. They always get paid. No question. If we don't pay them, well, you know, it's kind of hard to negotiate with people who carry guns.
For the moment, these people seem rather well disposed to the idea of American troops landing here. But they have nothing but contempt for the UN and its Secretary General, Boutros Ghali.
If the Americans then to come in to play a leadership role, and the situation was left entirely to General Secretary Boutros Ghali, we would have kicked his ass.
Kicked his ass?
It remains to be seen whether this benign attitude toward Americans, at least, survives the week. But for the moment, even the prospect of U.S. Marines landing here, perhaps as soon as 24 hours from now, has resulted, over the past couple of days, in food being convoyed out of here.
What you're looking at is actually something quite rare. It's a convoy that is finally going to be able to get out of Mogadishu port. We got one out yesterday. Looks like we'll get this one out. Virtually no food at all has got out of this port in almost a month. Because not very far away from here is the green line, the line separating the 2 different Mogadishus. And at that point, every convoy that's tried to go into the north has got hit by looters, gangsters, really. Nothing to do with politics. People who want to make a lot of money out of stolen food.
So the food has either piled up here or in the private warehouses of the warlord, while people throughout Somalia starve.
This is the picture that Somalia wants the world to see today, a picture of men loading trucks with food that is going to be distributed first all over the city and then all over the country. It is a picture of peacefulness, tranquility, the way things should be. But if you'll take a look at the windshields up there, you'll see 2 of the bullet holes in this WFP World Food Program. And the same thing in this truck over here. Bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole. This is the way it has been. The question is how it's going to be now in the immediate future.
The food in these warehouses is not enough. Only 12,000 tons remain here. The UN has estimated that more than 100,000 tons will be needed to feed starving Somalis over the next 3 months.
Would you ask the general, please, how he sees his mission changing over the next day or 2 as we expect the international troops to arrive?
Marka marda waxa iman doona meesha dhan sabab mareynaysa inay wax soo bedelmi doonaan. We don't expect any problems with the Americans coming. It will strengthen our mission, and it will make our job easier.
What we have here, to borrow from the movies, is a failure to communicate. The U.S. Marines and the soldiers heading in this direction are not coming here as partners or allies of these men who inflict starvation on their own people. How rude an awakening that will be, and how violently the technicals will react when the realization sets in, will determine how much, if any, bloodshed there will be when the Marines land in Mogadishu.
No one has to tell you that doing business today is more challenging than ever. But all over the world, one company is helping you meet those challenges head on, no matter what it takes. New challenges, new thinking.
Contact wrote a book on cold medicine, then added this chapter, Contact Day and Night. Day caplets for non-drowsy cold relief. Night caplets to relieve your symptoms to let you rest. Contact Day and Night, another important chapter in cold relief.
I can't remember. It was something...
Nicoderm, nicotine transdermal system.
Yeah, it's called Nicoderm.
Oh, yeah, the patch.
Nicoderm, huh? Yeah, it's a patch.
Nicoderm, by prescription only.
You're a smart car buyer, right? You know that the lowest prices of the year at Mackay Subaru are happening now. 92 Legacies, sedans and wagons, Subaru Loyales, and the spectacular SVX at year-end clearance sale prices from the #1 Subaru dealer in Texas. Smart car buyers know that dollar for dollar, Subaru gives you more for your money, and Mackay sells Subaru for less. For the greatest selection at the year's lowest price, come to Mackay Subaru today.
Tell you the truth, no. I didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it. Well, I didn't believe they were really suits by the same designer.
And they were so much less at the Men's Warehouse.
You got to go there yourself and see it. How can they do it?
I don't know.
The question's not, how can the Men's Warehouse get away with selling suits for so much less?
The question is, how can department stores get away with selling them for so much more?
That's the question.
At the Men's Warehouse, the difference is the lower price. I guarantee it.
When friends don't stop friends from drinking and driving. Friends die from drinking and driving. Friends die from drinking and... Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
You thought you heard it all when we caught congressmen frolicking in Barbados. Now it's like the Navy's own Club Med. Top brass play, you pay.
Primetime Undercover Thursday.
Joining me now are two men who have been invaluable guides to those of us who are stumbling through the chaos of Somalia. To my immediate right, a professor of history at Rutgers University. Professor Saeed Samatar is a Somali by birth, an American by nationality. And to his immediate right, Frank Kriegler, the former U.S. ambassador here, ambassador until just about a few months before we stopped keeping an embassy here. Where's the embassy?
The embassy is right over behind you, the left shoulder. The embassy, unfortunately, has no ambassador today.
It doesn't have much of anything at this point,
There's
does it?
precious little left in the building, I'm sorry to say.
I'd like to get, before we go on to other subjects, Professor Samatar, I'd like to get back to the subject of this insidious drug, khat. Now, I assume that it's been around for a while, but since you left Somalia, just give us a sense of how the influence of that drug has grown here.
When I left Somalia, there was no consumption or very little consumption of khat in southern Somalia. It was consumed mainly in the north. Now, it's incredible that the whole city seems to have been overtaken by this drug.
Ambassador Kriegler, I know you've been talking to some of your old friends around here, and I wonder what they tell you in terms of, ironically, a problem that we face back in the United States. And that is how to get guns away from young people and how to get young people off drugs. I mean, here, as I mentioned earlier, the problem is complicated by the fact that the whole country is in chaos. But what would happen if they tried to stop the drug supply here?
If they tried to stop it right now, it might well explode under their faces. The young people around us are so taken with the use of khat at this point that it's hard to imagine they could do without it, without simply rebelling against those that tried to impose some sort of control.
Do you know anything about the impact of the drug? I mean, I mentioned before that as people start to lose the effects of it, they get a little bit paranoid, but beyond that.
Well, it's sad to see the faces of these young people that I used to know, because I can see an increasing impact, a debilitating impact of the drug in their eyes and in their behavior. It's a sad thing that 4 years ago, the national craze here was not khat. The national craze was sports. The national hero was a young man named Abdi Bili, who was the world's fastest 1,500-meter runner. All of the young people were emulating him at that point. They seemed so healthy. They were playing soccer on the beach every morning before work. And at work, their employers saw to it that there was no spare time to waste in khat and no allowance made for this sort of activity.
You mentioned the beach a moment ago. Professor Samatar, just behind us is the Indian Ocean, and sometime, probably within the next 24 hours or so, U.S. Marines will be landing, if not exactly on the beaches, then at the airport and at the port. We have already begun to talk a little bit, but I'd like to get your insight on what your expectation is of what will happen when they land here, and give some particular thought to what these young technicals with their guns are going to do.
Ed, I have been around town for some time now, and I have never seen anything so popular and so enthusiastically expected as the arrival of the Americans.
You think it's genuine enthusiasm, or are they just being polite to the inevitable?
I believe it is a very genuine enthusiasm, because the people are god-awful, tired of this violence and anarchy. As to the young technicals, I do not expect any trouble from them. There may be a few sniper fire shootings here and there, but on the whole, I think when they see a display of force, they will respect it.
Ambassador Kriegler, I know you talked to a few of the young men, the young technicals, and asked them the question that we're all wondering, that is, are they going to lay down their arms? What have you been hearing?
Well, on the whole, I think they're as enthusiastic as everyone else about the arrival of the Marines. But there are a few that trouble me. A few have said, well, I'm not sure I can just take orders from a foreigner, especially a white foreigner. And I'm not at all sure I'll just turn over my arms to him. Maybe we'll hold out. They're a minority, and they don't represent a whole lot. But they can be very proud and egotistical, and that worries me a little.
Let's talk a little bit about the national picture here now. As I mentioned earlier, I think it is the plan of the Marines just to take the airport and to take the port so that they can at least establish a base. And then as they begin to move out here into the city of Mogadishu and then out into the country itself, what do you think they can expect? What are their biggest problems going to be, Professor Samatar?
I expect them, once again, to be universally and enthusiastically received. Because as I have said, the people want a break. They just want a break from this chaos.
And are they going to come out and actually work with the next stage is going to be the most difficult one. Quieting things down perhaps will be deceptively easy, but what about the next stage of actually getting an infrastructure into this country? The Americans have already made it clear that U.S. troops will not be staying around that long, that they'll probably be gone by late January or early February.
I think all depends on how the Americans conducted this operation. If they explain to the Somali people that they have no hidden agenda in this country, that they have not come to colonize or to violate the sovereignty of the Somali people, I believe that the Somali people will accept American assistance. Now, with respect to the national reconstruction, I also feel that the Americans, beyond the humanitarian aid, have to help to attend to the political reconstruction and rehabilitation of the country.
Ambassador Kriegler, therein, of course, lies part of the problem. We don't only have problems with what the Somalis want, but, of course, also with what the American public is prepared to support and the American Congress is prepared to support. A quick military operation is one thing. A long, protracted involvement in Somalia, helping this country get on its feet again, is something else. Talk about those problems for a moment, would you?
I think it will take a good deal longer than 2 months to work out the underlying political problems in this country. I don't believe that they're necessarily the responsibility of the Americans or the American troops to work out. What I look forward to is our setting an atmosphere in which these problems can be worked on effectively. As long as there's the sort of chaos and confrontation that we see around us right now, there's no way that Somalis can work toward reconciliation. But I believe by establishing a semblance of peace in this country, a semblance of order, Somalis themselves will be permitted to get together in ways they can't now and work on their own problems.
Professor Sumiter, you understand that most of us Americans are not familiar with the intricacies of Somalia, either political life or the regions, the clans. But give us a sense, is there any one great shining figure here in Somalia around whom the rest of the population can coalesce?
Unfortunately, no, and for two reasons. First, the former dictator, General Mohammed Siad Barre, has killed off and destroyed a lot of Somali leaders with national leadership abilities. And second, tragically, the educated people have practically left the country.
Ambassador Kriegler, a quick closing comment, and we've got about 15 seconds left. How long do you think before Americans can get out of here?
I would say they're going to be here for a couple of months at least, maybe a little longer. But I'm glad they're coming because they're going to be wonderful role models for the young people that we're so worried about in this country.
Ambassador Frank Kriegler and Professor Saeed Samatar, thank you both very much. I'll be back in a moment.
Doing it yourself can save you a lot of money. Get it right the first time. Make sure you do. Ask Ace.
Stock up on Ever-Ready Energizer batteries with a $1.25 rebate, and the Fiskars 3-piece scissor set is only $9.99.
Ace Best Buy is another reason Ace is the place for you. Left, right, left. Company.
Sounds hostile, Sarge.
Lousy cough, sore throat.
Try Nice.
Sugar-free Nice showers your throat with medicine for icy cool relief.
Left, right, left.
Put your throat on ice with Nice.
Panasonic presents a unique and highly evolved Smooth Operator. The new Smooth Operator 2 with float control is the only razor to unite the comfort of twin independent floating heads with the closeness of a warm, wet shave. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. The new Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you would be.
Good. Now I can go to bed.
Wait a minute. I want to give you a gift while we're alone. Something just for you.
A washer and dryer.
Come on, will you be serious?
Okay.
Close your eyes. Come on. Merry Christmas.
This Christmas, give her the gift of love. Diamonds.
Hey, Texas, this one's for you. Ford Special Edition full-size pickup. The #1 selling vehicle in the world now has air conditioning and automatic at no extra charge. This truck's not only built for Texas, it comes with Texas-size savings of almost $2,200. And that's loaded with all this. It's loaded with comfort, too, but you can bet it's still Texas tough. The Special Edition Ford full-size pickup.
Texas, Ford and you.
On the next Good Morning America, live first-hand reports from Somalia.
Jesse Jackson talks baseball and holiday decorating for the environmentally correct. All on Good Morning America.
We'll be reporting from Somalia all this week, most especially, of course, tomorrow night, when we expect at just about this time that the Marines will be landing. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Mogadishu. For all of us here in Somalia, good night.
If you wish a videocassette version of Nightline, the cost is $14.98 plus $3.95 shipping and handling. If you wish a printed transcript, please send $4 to 1535 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Tuesday, Jackie's throwing a bash for charity.
I was thinking about a Western deal. Plenty hard liquor, guns with real bullets for people to shoot off, and pony rides for the kids.
Anytime you got liquor, guns, and kids, you're bound to have fun.
TV Guide calls it a hit.
Jackie, it's Paul Newman. Tell him to bring some popcorn and salad dressing.
It's Jackie Thomas.
While you're in the H, just call Geraldo.
Tuesday after Roseanne.
Coming up Tuesday on Live at 5. Crime caused by juveniles is taking a high toll on local businesses and filling the court system to capacity. But will a realistic taste of the consequences of crime make a difference on youngsters in Santa Fe? Also on Live at 5, from flowery script to chicken scratch, your handwriting can reveal more than just the printed message. The secrets within your penmanship Tuesday on Live at 5.
An ordinary trip to the grocery store. You clip coupons, you try to shop for the best values to stretch your food dollars. It's usually an uneventful experience in your life. But what if the experience was taken away? What if you had nothing? It could happen to you. It's happened to too many people. This holiday season, take time to think, what if? And if you could help, would you? This year you can. Share your Christmas, December 18th on 13.